Hey everyone, welcome to the Movie Throne. I'm your host, the one and only King Kansas, here to do another movie review. And in particular, I'm happy I finally had the chance to first unbox the video, so go check that out, that video there itself, guys. But I also had a chance to watch this for the very first time from my couch in my living room. I picked up the Blu-ray. The hell movie I'm talking about? I'm talking about the brand new Indiana Jones movie called Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Came out in 2023 in theaters, directed by James Mangold. Had a stellar cast. Harrison Ford returns back in the role. You got Phoebe Waller-Bridge, who plays Helena, his goddaughter. You have Antonio Banderas making a little cameo there as one of his friends. You got Karen Allen kind of showing up here and there. She plays Marion. Also has John Rhys-Davies. He plays Salah from the very first one. The guy with the hat. He makes a little return here and there, which was great to see. You got Toby Jones. He plays Basil. He's Phoebe Waller's father. You have Boyd Brooke. Logan. He's the bad guy with the metal hand. He plays the assistant to the Nazi doctor that's involved in all this, the main baddie. The main baddie is played by Mads Mikkelsen. He's Dr. Voller, I think his name is. And holy crap, that guy every time he's on screen is dynamic. And you have Ethan, Isidore. I think he plays Teddy. He's the little kid. There's always a little kid involved in this thing, you know. But yeah, had the chance to watch it. As you guys know, first part non-spoiler. Then I'll get into some spoilery details, and I'll put that spoiler thing on top. So don't worry, you guys are safe. But my first impressions, or the first question I'm going to answer is this better than Kingdom, the Crystal Skull? My answer is yes. Kind of brings you back to what we know of the previous three Indiana Jones, the original trilogy. So we got a little bit of that back. Felt like it. Anytime you have the Nazis, it brings you back to that time. The setting of this, it's not a spoiler. It's set in the 1960s, the late 1960s. So the beginning of the movie has him in the past, so they do de-age him and stuff. But from the way they explain it, it opens up, and then how it's brought to modern day time was a cool transition. It wasn't the smoothest, but you kind of got an idea that Indy's, near the end of his, retirement in many ways, not only by teaching and all that stuff. So you have him doing his normal stuff, his routine. You got him, introduced to his estranged goddaughter, which was kind of cool how they brought it in. She could sometimes come across as a little bit of a snob. I didn't feel any of that vibe that, oh yeah, this is the one who's going to replace him, blah, blah. None of that throughout the whole film. I can tell you guys right now, so you guys can all shut up and sit down. But the adventures, the way it goes, the flow of the story, him kind of like being forced back out of retirement to kind of like help her out, not only to save what he needs to save, but to kind of save her. Feels a duty and responsibility. He's gone through major changes of his life. Big tragedy. I'm not, involving his son. I'm just going to leave it at that. And caused frictions between him and Marion. So you can only imagine what he's going through. So little misery, little sadness, everything else. Then he's thrown into the middle of everything. Love the way it traveled from place to place to kind of reveal itself. Like how the old films used to do, go to here, get a clue, go over here, cool. Sometimes it was like, are you serious? It was that easy? And it took them that quickly to solve. But yeah, jokes from the previous things with snakes, I'll just say that. But the villain, not so memorable, but enough for what they were trying to get across to us. Movie was, like I said, 2 hours and 34 minutes long. It didn't feel long. I was never bored. I can tell you right now. I was still watching. I was a little worried at the downtime. You're like, really? You guys saw the part in the trailer that he kind of confronts all those guys and he whips them with the whip and then guns get drawn on him. I was expecting that part to be a little bit more. But there is like a chase scene, which is good, with these little three-wheel moped things. It was kind of cool to see him do a couple of his old stunts there. And something that you believe, an old guy like that is going to be moving like that. But little funny, a little humor, little nods to Sean Connery here and there, his son, and other films as well. And to see different guys show up at different times of the storyline was pretty cool. Yeah, just love the way they travel, the way they put everything together. The like there's the last 15 minutes of the film, I can see where people kind of hate it a little bit. Like, oh no, please don't take us back to where the Crystal Skull is. Please don't do that. You know, there's like I think the last 15 or 20 minutes, something happens in the storyline that, they manage to work the dial, and something happens. I'll just leave it at that, and they go places. Let's just say that, and it was cool to see. Don't get me wrong; it was shot well, like well written and stuff. But you're like, "I'm to believe this. But then the way things unraveled and came back to, and you're like, okay, don't tell me they're gonna do something that I hope they didn't. Then they didn't, and then they brought us back, and they left it open ended. Which is pretty cool. So just in case he comes back and he's like 95, I don't know what they're gonna do, but I left my seat here thinking it was a good film. It wasn't bad. It was better than Crystal Skull. That's all we wanted. But all the hate didn't deserve it, right? But overall, I liked it. I would tell you guys to check it out. If you guys are an Indiana Jones fan or a Harrison Ford fan, you got to check this out because it's worth watching. I enjoyed all the films, even Crystal Skull. I didn't hate it as much as everybody else did, but this one is far better than what we got previously. I think you guys will be happy, so check it out for yourselves. Okay, that's my non-spoiler. Put the spoiler, guys. Okay. Opening scene of the movie was phenomenal. Like on the train, him fighting, and the typical Indiana Jones set in the back. Even the de-aging of Harrison Ford, you believe that he was there during that time. Some crazy ass scenes that we've seen in other films that he's done was okay. The way they lose the dial, thinking the doctor's dead, but then he pops up later. That happens, so be warned. Fight scene on the train was phenomenal. Them showing up and being rescued by the British was pretty cool. The Nazis being reintroduced, because anything with the Nazis, it makes it, that era for Harrison Ford to deal with. Then you got him several years later, he gets confronted by his goddaughter inadvertently in a classroom that he's teaching. She's after the dial. She, of course, wants to find the other half because they split it in half because, apparently it has some sort of magical powers that it transports people back in time. And they use the old Roman, scientists and all that shit that created it, and all the Greeks and all that crap, which is pretty cool to do so. The horse scene, like in the streets, not as bad as I thought it was, and the CGI was pretty good on that. Some of the stuff though, his stunts in the city streets when he goes to Morocco with her later, and they find this kid. They always have to have a damn bloody kid. That get involved, and that there was pretty cool. I wasn't bored. Like that was well written and well shot. What else is it? The villain, the normal villain. I'm the bad guy. Haha, I want this, and I meant good, but I want to go back through time. And I don't know. His plan was to either kill Hitler and change the course of the Germans winning the war rather than losing, which was like, okay, at least he has a reason why he's doing it, right? Because he saw how they were effing up the Nazis as beginning the film and shit. So that was his goal. Harrison Ford just wants to stay retired and whatever, but he gets drawn into it. That gunfight scene, like I said, at the table that, she's trying to auction off the dial to the highest bidder. That was okay. I was expecting a little bit more out of that, but that leads into that whole chase scene that I just described to you guys before. Antonio Banderas pops up in this thing just for a split second in Greece on a boat. They're diving down to find the other half of the dial. And of course, the villain shows up and steals shit from there. So that's the typical whatever the hell there. And then, of course, this is where I could see this kind of losing people a little bit there, is that they end up time traveling, going through a portal or whatever, and going not back to where he wanted to, 1939 Berlin, to kind of, deal with Hitler, but to where the Romans are fighting some old epic war with somebody. So you got spears getting tossed to them and shit. I'm like, guys, please don't go where Crystal Skull went with this. They were only there for like 10, 15 minutes. This is like near the film, okay, guys? Near the end of the movie. And he got shot in the whole process before while he's going there. So they think he's, he just wants to stay behind and just be and kind of like be able to live what he's always studied, ancient ruins and all that stuff, civilizations and archaeology and shit. But no, she knocks his ass out, brings him through. He wakes up during whatever, so it doesn't even show us how they got back home, but they did. On a little plane, I don't know. Still don't know how they did it, but whatever, they did. And of course, he's going through a divorce with Marion because we find out that Mutt signed up, apparently, that's Shia LaBeouf's character in the Crystal Skull movie, signed up just to piss him off to fight the war, and he ends up dying. And that kind of split those two up, and they were going through a divorce and shit like that. So he just wanted to be and not be bothered. Because she asked him straight out at one point of the film, what would you do if you were able to do so? And this is fucking legit, right? He goes, that's what I would do. I would go back and, sign, basically save his ass or some shit like that, right? Which is, makes sense. He wanted to save his kid, which is like, okay, he's a hard ass, but he ain't stupid, right? Anyways, so that kind of happened. And at the end, they kind of get reunited, and it leaves things open-ended. So it was none of this, what's her name? Phoebe Waller-Bridge is going to take over the reins or whatever. The hat's on the clothesline. He ends up grabbing it. They get back together, it looks like, and they're kind of like mending fences from what I gather, right? But the action's okay. The music's cool. Villain showing up. You have, what's his name? Toby Jones played her father. Boyd Brooke, he's like the Nazis thing. Mads Mikkelsen was excellent as that guy. Doesn't matter if he has a small role, big role, whatever role, he's gold. And of course you have John Rhys-Davies. He plays Salah. He's from the first one, the guy with the red Turkish hat. He shows up, and he apparently got brought over by Indiana Jones and stuff. But it's cool. It takes place in 1969 with the space, and this scientists supposedly help him get to space and shit. So they kind of tie things together, loosely based on truth. Who knows, whatever. But it was cool. Anytime you put the Nazis in Harrison Ford, Indiana Jones, that era, it makes sense. But references to his father, the watch that, the kid stole his watch and he ends up getting back. Little nods like that made it good and bearable. And I wasn't bored once, but I liked it. I liked it better than the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. You guys let the king know in the comment section what you guys did. You like this better? Did you hate it? Is it to you? To me, the new films were not bad. I'm not going to say that you're never going to recapture the old glory years in the 1980s when things were shot differently, and that was then. Now, with the technology shit, it doesn't allow us to go back to shooting stuff like that anymore, because we got all these new techniques that makes life easier that you're not going to get that feel that we got back then. That's me personally, but I have all of them. Bought the damn thing, so I added it to my collection on Blu-ray. But I don't know if there's going to be another one, because he's close to 80, if not over. So I don't know if they're going to film another and delay and stuff. But I think this is pretty much the final nod to the series. If they reboot it, great. If it ends this way, I'm still cool and okay with it. At least it didn't end the way it did in the Crystal Skull. So there you go, guys. That is my official movie review on Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, starring Harrison Ford, Phoebe Waller-Bridge, and a whole bunch of other amazing actors. Like, share, and subscribe. Check out my other movie reviews. Check out my podcast episodes. You name it, the works. Until next time, guys, be the hell good, and I'll see you where? Right here on the Movie Throne. Take it easy.